Okay, it is the year 2023, January 23rd. Again, it's been quite a few days. I've taken notes for each of the days that has passed and decided I've saved up enough to do a little kind of like summarization of everything, because I also finished my project. I'm finally done with it. So anyways, the 18th was the first day, and it was 7 of coins. Now the 7 of coins is I think it was actually like the first or second card that I actually drew this year. So honestly, I'm surprised by how many like repeats I've been getting these days. It's still the first month, and I've drawn repeats or like what, for like 3-5 times already. It's kind of crazy. Maybe I shouldn't like shuffle the cards back. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Honestly, I don't know. Anyways, 7 of coins. Profit, growth, and progress, fruits of labor, hard toil, learning curve, anxiety around money. Not exactly true. That was never really my concern, honestly. I'm not at that point yet. Potential for improved status or work promotion. So anyways, all in all, this is like a very positive card. And I think something I also mentioned when I first drew it while trying to interpret just the card art, I mentioned about how this looks like a diverging path, right? And like for me to kind of like make a choice, or it's a case where it's like I don't really have to see my situation as having to pick one or the other, because eventually they will converge and lead me to the path that I actually want. But on that day, the notes I took is that cut ties with past stuff, and deciding and reconfirming my future path. So what happened on that day was that I looked at some of my I guess not really old relationships, or like just old connections, I guess. Not necessarily with people, but just some like unfinished business I have left like unchecked for a long time, like with some people, right? And I basically went ahead and okay, so I think I should go explain this a bit better. So basically what happened is, like, I was in this group for like for quite a while, right? And then, you know, there's a lot of like interactions and stuff, and there was like some kind of like connection between us, between like the group of people. But eventually I just like quietly kind of like dipped out, because I just didn't feel like it was somewhere that, you know, it just didn't feel like it was somewhere I belong anymore. So I just quietly dipped, and it's been quite a few years. You know, I left without leaving any messages, and then because of the project, I basically had to kind of go back to some of my old stuff and check on some things. And, you know, it came to me that maybe it's best for me to kind of like, you know, because everything's like still related to the project, and because I want to focus on the project, well, this thing about like all the past stuff is still honestly quite bothering me, like every time I go and check. So what I decided to do is basically to, you know, put things more forefront, explain the situation, how I just don't feel like, you know, being in that group anymore, and, you know, sorry for like quietly leaving and stuff like that, with like leaving without a notice. And that's basically what I did. And I think that's maybe what it means in terms of growth. Now, the card itself is more focused around material stuff, but I feel like but I feel like in terms of what I actually did, in terms of growth, like I interpret it in a more like like a metaphorical way, right? It doesn't, for me, I don't think that really needs to be anything material. And no, it could also be just something that's grounded because it's supposed to be the element of earth, right? And I think human relationships is also something that's, very fundamental to us. So, instead of being kind of like, what do you call it? Like being affected by my past like troubles and issues, cutting ties or making things clear for everyone involved, I think is basically the first step forward. And I think that's basically what it means. Oh, I lost it. Where's 7 of coins? And I think that's it. Not necessarily potential for improved status, like it didn't really improve anything really, but I think in general it was like a good first step for what I wanted to do. And also on a learning curve, if you want to read more into that, I think it just means that like me as a person, I'm really bad at dealing with like relationships and handling things like that, as you may have guessed with how I quietly left that group. So I think this is basically me on a learning curve of learning how to deal with relationships better. So that's the 18th. And then 19th, got the Sun. That's a new card, and it's a major arcana. Now, on that day, it was good progress with the project. I was going through my old stuff. I was able, after dealing with the group, I was able to, more or less smoothly go through everything and kind of like move on with things, right? And honestly, I've always been like very, like inconfident about my past work, like the things I've done, like things I've created in the past. But looking back now, but looking back on that day, not on that day, but just like on the 19th, when I was like looking through this stuff, I think I found like new appreciation for like what I did in the past. And I found like I wasn't really expecting me to like find anything like of value at all, but I was able to like squeeze out some stuff. Not much, but it was something. Okay, now the card itself. What does it mean? Here we go. It says daylight, peace, joy, pleasure, contentment, love, devotion, works, rewards, accomplishment, success, engagement. Just in general, a lot of good things, right? And that's, I think, what I'm really like. I think that's what that day was like. I was able to, because the day before I was able to kind of like move on with a lot of stuff. So that was like a huge burden just like off my shoulders mentally. And now I'm able to make good progress with the project that I am focusing on at the time. I was focusing on at a time, and brings me a lot of peace and joy. Being content with what I have right now, and I think that's that's a pretty good stuff. And then the next day, I got the card Justice. We're getting quite a few like major arcanas now. So on this day, that note says, the project is basically done, and all I had left was like some writing that I had to work on. And I also learned something new about the project and through the project. So what happened that day was basically like the actual like making the thing was basically done. But just making the thing wasn't enough. I also had to like write some extra stuff to kind of like accompany it. It's like a, what do you call it? It's basically like a self-introduction, like for me myself, right? Because I'm like sending it to someone, and then they are asking, "Oh, can you like basically write about something yourself?" To kind of like accompany your stuff, and that's basically what I did. And so the actual thing was done. It's just the writing. It's almost like finding a job basically, and all that's left is like making a resume and a cover letter. So the justice, balance, equilibrium, equality, symmetry, harmony, integrity, honor, fairness, neutrality, blah blah blah. So basically, I think to me what this means is that, like, while writing out this stuff, I really had to kind of like, cause like I have written to them before, and then I couldn't get a response, and this time I basically tried to get a response from them again. And for this time, I was focusing a lot more on just like writing what I truly think about, like myself and my work. Because the previous time, I feel like more or less I was like trying to pander to what I think they want to hear. But this time I'm trying more on like what I want for myself, like what I actually want instead. And I was able to, think through a lot of stuff and kind of come to terms with, what it is that I truly want and who I kind of like am, or at least like what I am leaning towards when it comes to certain things, right? And I think this is kind of like what it means. Now this card itself is not exactly all positives. It has a balance on hand, and with positives there are also negatives. The negatives of this card are oversensitivity, vindication, self-righteousness, bigotry, prejudice, favoritism, promise versus threat. I don't really know what that means. Rights abused. I think the later few, like the latter few, don't really apply here, but I think in terms of like maybe oversensitivity or a vindication. Oh, or self-righteousness. I think self-righteousness is probably something, because like while writing out this stuff, I basically have to like trust that what I think is right and is good. Right? I need to basically write with confidence. And that I think could come across as being kind of like asking for too much. But then again, I want to present like myself as as who I actually am, and not just like someone that's like I can't write myself in an image that I cannot like feel a connection to. That's right. Before I couldn't write a character that is a student, because I can't relate to that, and I can't think of anything that like would fit that kind of role. That's why I changed it, and that's why I changed the student to something that is like more reflective of myself currently, which is just like just like some random office worker. But yeah, that's basically what happened that day. Honestly, not much to say about it, but it's interesting to see this card. It's an interesting card for sure. Now this is a fun day. Six of Swords. It's a repeating card, but this was a double card day because this other card actually fell out while I was shuffling. It's Queen of Cups. So let's go with the Six of Swords first. So what happened on that day, this is January 21st, is that I basically was almost done with writing out all the stuff. I was like finished writing, I'll say about like 50-60% of the stuff, and I was feeling pretty good about everything. And I basically tried my best to speak with sincerity, and again, similar to what I said before, it was just a good reflective experience for myself as well. Now, Seven of Swords, I think we talked about this before, where it's like kind of like a turning point, I think. Journey, going to warmer or cooler climes, messenger, kind attention, success after trials, recovery from illness or bereavement. But yeah, it's just like overcoming whatever trials I had previously, and it's like kind of like I'm done climbing the hill, now I'm going downhill. obviously there are still like trials and tribulations even while going downhill. There are people who say that going downhill is actually harder than going uphill, but well, at least I'm over the peak. I'm over the peak now. I'm done with the climbing part. I'm now on my next step to the next thing. Now, Queen of Cups. Here we go. Mature, honest, devoted, faithful wife. Sure. Wise, visionary action. Help a dream become real. I certainly hope so. Pleasure, happiness, service, success. Yeah, basically it was going through, like, things were going through, like, honestly pretty well. There weren't a lot of like I didn't have to like how do you say it, like there weren't a lot of like self-doubt anymore while I was writing those things, because I know that the things I was writing down were things that I truly wanted to say. Now, whether they would fit to like whatever it is that they're asking for, that's a different question, right? It's like, I can say all the things, like whether the things I have said or written are actually like relevant. That is something I basically had to kind of like pull back a bit and then try to kind of like proofread a bit more. But I did that. I tried however I can, and yeah, it was honestly a pretty successful day. Felt very good about it. Finally at the end point, and doing well with all the finishing touches is how I'm like looking at these things. So yeah, very interesting how there are 2 cards for that day. And yeah, now the 22nd, Ace of Swords. Back to the swords again. I'm getting so many swords in this month, it's kind of crazy. The 22nd, the Ace. Truth, courage, vision. Again, truth. I feel like there's like basically like a lot of shared theme here. It's just like truth, integrity, and also success. So I really hope that this is going to, be something good. Truth, courage, vision, insight, power, triumph, accomplishment, irresistible force, on a roll, needed change. Again, just looking pretty good. And on this day, it was the day that I finally finished everything, and I handed my stuff in as a whole. So hopefully this means that this is the beginning of something new. Or if it fails in the end, well, needed change. There's something more in my life that I probably have to change to prepare for the next time that an opportunity presents itself. But for now, I am done with everything, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, it is literally over right now. So it is literally a start of a new page. Hence the, being behind the ace is like the first thing that happens. It's like a new beginning. And now for today, the 23rd, Strength. Today was, I think, was a very usual day, right? It's the day where I go back to work, and kind of just like go through your usual average office worker stuff, which is basically not much. Let's look at the meaning of the word and look at the meaning of the card and see what we get. Fortitude, resilience, strength of mind, courage, resolve, confidence, integrity. Again, integrity is here again. Moral victory, spiritual rectitude, endurance, energy, action, vitality, power, force, violence. Oh boy, abuse of power, disgrace, impotence. Honestly, I think the latter, like the negative connotations aren't really applying because nothing happened today. But I think, I have been like learning how to play Go, the black and white pieces and chess. Maybe it's talking about that. I don't know. I am certainly feeling very confident about myself right now. Maybe it's just because, like very different to before, where, when you, like, after you hand in an assignment or something, you get kind of like you get kind of like anxiety, a lot of anxiety, and you start to worry a lot because they're like, oh, what if, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have checked this more, I should have checked that more. I'm not exactly getting a lot of that right now. So maybe I am like becoming more confident with myself, and I think that's a good sign. Just for myself, like in general, you know, doesn't have to be about my project. It just as me as a person being more confident is good. I don't know. Fortitude, resilience, strength of mind. Maybe this is talking about like so. Okay, so I was playing a lot of chess today, just like online against a robot, right? And the robot was like, I don't know too much about ratings, but it's like against a cat with a 800 rating. So it's basically a beginner bot. I kept on losing. I only won like I've only won like maybe one time, like by myself without any hints or anything. But every other time I've just like, I've blundered so much. I made so many mistakes. I just like had to resign because I knew I couldn't win anymore. Like I just wasn't like good at chess. But I kept on playing because I just honestly it felt fun. It felt like how should I say this? Like weirdly, it felt like I was like going somewhere with playing chess. And I don't know why it's exactly that. Usually like at work I would be just like reading, reading stuff online. Read some manga and stuff. But no, I've just been playing chess and playing Go. Very weird. Maybe I'm getting myself some new hobbies. That's good. But yeah, that's about it for today, or just the past like six days. If you didn't figure out, this is I'm doing this on a table, and this is just a white shirt I'm using as like a background because my table is very dirty. It's a very old table. It's not even like dirty in terms of like dirt or whatever. It's just like stained, and you can't even wash it off. I do want to get myself like a card mat, like a play mat for card games or whatever. I want to look for like a cool design maybe I can use in the future, but right now it's just my shirt. Yeah, strength. I'm definitely gonna need that for the future, because I'm a very physically weak person as well. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty good, and not sure when I'll make a next one, but we'll see. I'll keep taking notes and see how it goes. Yeah. All right.